college, and the other guy, he said he's too busy, he's not serving anymore. So yeah.
Wow. So it's just you and one other person.
Yeah, I don't live out there, but she does, so I can
Hmm.
send everything to her.
And you know that she's the only person out there, so you could start a location there if you felt like she was ever going to go, or
Yeah,
because
exactly.
you could send her all of the work, and then if she ever does leave, you could charge a premium and drive out there, or have
Yeah.
or get somebody new out there.
Yeah, for sure.
See here. Good. I love that. Thanks for that. Coming back with that. That's so good. Like people, some of the things, I want to say like 90% of the things that I'm going to teach you guys are going to be things that are kind of no, some people would call them no-brainers, especially if they've been in the business for a while. But you really start to know, once you start putting things into action, you actually take action on things, you're like, whoa, this actually works. It's pretty cool. Mhm. All right, what else? Any other feedback or things you guys are working on or questions you have? Chat. Mhm.
I looked into you mentioned Alex Hormozy.
Hormozy, yeah.
Hormozy, yeah. I watched a bunch of his videos yesterday and just really I'm more focusing on when I communicate with clients or when I, write my copy in my emails on my website, focusing more on how my services benefit them rather than just talking about what I do.
Hmm.
What are they going to get out of it? And the
Okay.
fact that they don't know us, so we have to keep reminding them, keep popping up. It's not going to work in one email, sending one email. You're not going to just get it, most likely.
Yeah, I love that you said that because I will tell you, think about it this way. How often does somebody tell you, let's think of that new friend or that friend that you've had for a while that starts a new thing. And they're like, I'm doing this new thing, and they're always doing a new thing every week. When they tell you about the new thing they're doing, how often are you like, well, how do I invest? Probably not. You're probably like, okay, let me just see how this thing goes.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying that's you. I'm saying that they don't know you.
Right.
So they assume the very base level of, expectations out of you. It's like, okay, if you send an email or you call, you're like, well, I don't want to be a bug. You absolutely need to be a bug. You need to be not just be a bug, you need to be one of those nasty Florida ones that are like flying around and mating in midair. Like that's crazy, you know. What we got on here? So Reuven, Lewis. Okay, yeah, new people coming in. Oh yeah, Shane is we have our chatters. Some people prefer to chat, Shane, you're welcome to come on as well. She says, you're so right. Hello, everyone. Lewis is back.
Yeah, for some reason I couldn't turn on the audio on the video, so
It's okay, man. It's okay. I love the hustle. Everybody driving and doing their thing, and I remember doing that all the time. I remember most of the videos I made was always on the road driving around. So cool, man. Cool. What do you got going on, Lewis?
I've just been getting rounds done for the day, getting started early. Right now it's 7:17 here right now.
Yeah, it's early. Yeah, California. Yeah, I thought about moving it up to 9, but then if I move it to 9, it's basically noon for the East Coasters. It's like, 11 o'clock. So, but good stuff. Like I was telling you guys, there's so little competition for what we do on like what you just said right now, Jessica. Like there's one whole area where there's like one lady. And I think a lot of people think of it as you and 100 other people because that's how a lot of other businesses are. But it's really not. And so if you know that and you actually focus on becoming the biggest fish in this little market and then start expanding from there, it will be so easy. Like the price for gas to go down the road and just to go right here in your backyard and around is nothing. And then as you start expanding, you're keeping your expenses low while your margins are high. This is business 101. And if your margins are high, then you'll be able to afford to invest back into your business. And I'm doing a blog post I'm going to send out here. I was trying to get it sent out before I left, but I had to go pick up kids and stuff. And but it's basically breaking down like why I started the community, why I started the directory, like why I started my website company, and like how what I want to do moving forward. And I think if you understand if you understand basic business principles when you're going to build a business, is building relationships. And that's what I love about this. That's why I call it the mastermind. So there's no real agenda. So we show up, we say hi, I'll tell you what I have on my mind for that day. And you guys just, if you have questions, you put them in the chat. If, you can bring them up right now. Hey, this is the thing I'm struggling with right now. And if I can't answer it, we can get it answered from somebody else in my network. Um, how many of you guys have listened and I won't be offended, okay? How many of you guys have listened to the podcast, the Process Server Daily podcast? And now it's called Mighty.
That's when I first found Mike years
What's
ago.
that? What'd you say?
That's when I first found you years ago.
Yeah.
When I first got in the industry, I found the podcast.
Oh, really? Process Server Daily? Like
Yeah.
you heard me and Mike Kern or one
Yep.
of these guys?
When he first started, I think they were on number 3 or 4 when I first found it, and I started watching. I'm like, oh my god, so much information here. And that's when we started that weekly mastermind Zoom calls.
Yeah, the PSD University or whatever I called it.
Yeah.
Server Nation, a bunch of different things. Yeah. I was trying to make a business out of it, but I wasn't ready. I was still learning the business, right? I still hadn't, notched my notches on but you know what? Those podcast interviews where I'm interviewing Mike Kern and Steve Glenn and these guys have all built multi-million dollar businesses and they're now expanding and one sold, Magnum Diego sold and made a bunch of money. What's up, Jeff? No worries, buddy. Good to have you.
Okay, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I got my cup of Joe. There we go. Now I can call it Joe.
I actually had a question for you, Mike.
Yeah.
So for someone like me, I haven't been to any of the process server conferences for like NAPS or any of the other ones.
Mhm.
Can you like share the experience of going to them and if they're worth doing, and
Yeah,
maybe
so
what to expect and then what to probably like how to make the most out of it?
mhm. Actually, I actually have a lot of experience with conferences, and so I'll give you I'll give you both sides of it. Okay, so first, it depends on who you talk to. So if you talk to somebody who's on the board, they're in charge of membership growth. Come to the conference. Da, da, da. Um, it's good because they're volunteers and they're trying to promote the conference or whatever and the association. So when my experience is when I go to these, my very first early experience with Cal's Pro, um, and this is a preface is like different associations are different, like night and day different. So I'll give you some examples and what you can expect. So Cal's Pro is the California Association of Professional Legal Support Professionals. It's for process servers, private investigators. They're trying to like encompass a lot of people. They started out, they were like one of the first, they were the first association in the country. And then those same guys, those same original guys went on and created NAPS a year later, 1982, they created NAPS. And so a lot of those guys have been in the industries forever. Like, Andy Eston wrote half of the Civil Code of Procedure for California. Like the reason why you can drop serve somebody, the reason why um we have the ability to enter property, right? There's certain codes that allow us to enter property and trespass without it being illegal. We actually have all of those things that California has is because of those guys. And they're fanatics about it. They just that sounds bad, but it's true. They obsess over the laws of process serving. And it's the reason why I've made a lot of money because of those guys, because they made sure when e-filing became mandatory, where the court said you have to e-file. You can't walk into the court. During COVID, that happened. Um, they said, well, if that's the case, it should be done by a third party, and all of our dues for CalSpro get paid directly to a guy named Mike Belote. If you look him up, Mike Belote is the biggest lobbyist, and he's a big lobbyist for Apple. He's the lobbyist in California for Apple, and a bunch of other big companies. So I say all that to say it's super important. The association is super important in every state, but California is the example, not in all things, but with this, California is the example of what to do. Create the association, create trainings. So I will give it to them on that. But let's back it up to conferences because that's what you're asking about. If you're going to go to the conference, especially CalSpro, and I'll talk about some other ones just briefly here. But CalSpro, the reason why you go to CalSpro is because you meet literally is the elite. I know they don't want you to say that. They would, Mike, don't say that. We want everyone to join, you know. But if you go, it's all the people who are millionaires. Janny and Janny, Kern, and Ruben's on here. He knows what I'm talking about. Robert Parambo from Knox. Yeah, I could keep going on. These guys have all built huge companies. So you get to shake their hands and say hi. They're normal people. They're great people. If you stay after and go to the bar with them, you'll be buddies forever. You know, a couple guys who worked for them but have been in the business for a long time that I really like. Cliff Jacobs, right? He'll pass from one company to another here and there, but he just knows everyone. I learned a lot from him about calling people and getting their rates. And he worked for One Legal, which is now InfoTrack. And then he went to First Legal, which is like the second largest company in California. So you go there to meet those guys if you want to get affiliate work. If you're like not about affiliate work at all, then you network with those guys to see what it is that they're doing. I built close relationships with a couple of those guys that tell me like we're friends, right? I can call them up and be like, "Hey, what would you do about this?" or "What would you do about that?" And they do the same thing for me. They'll call me and when I built my e-filing company, Mike Kern called me. He's like, "Have you still not invested and got a platform for e-filing?" And I was like, "Nah, you're not going to get much back." He goes, "Mike, I made $200,000 last month." And he's like, "I know I have a high volume, but e-filing is here and it's going to become mandatory." Sure enough, a year later, it was mandatory. And I did invest in it when he called me back the second time. Was like, and he wasn't going to earn anything off of telling me to go get a platform. He's just trying to help me. So when it comes to conferences, meeting those people when I was brand new was essential because I didn't know what I didn't know. So meeting those people is how I learned things that I didn't already know. So I would say it's very pivotal. Now you take it to I think it's the same concept in some of these other conferences like Texas or Florida, but they're night and day difference. Okay. CalSpro is the elite. All right. There's some other people who will go like me. I went and I met a couple other guys that were first year guys there. Brandon, what's his name? Brandon, what is his name? Anyway, I had him on the podcast. Brandon, what is his button? Brandon?
Jaeger,
Yeah,
something.
yeah, I think that is it. Yeah, he came on and I met him there and he was just another new guy. And so I was sitting at a table in the back. I'm like, "Hey, bro, I don't think I've met you." And I shook his hand. He's like, "Hey, man." He was just really cool, you know? And so I got to be friends with him. And turns out he was partners, like a lower partner with his brother in On Call Legal, which was one of the biggest companies there. And I didn't know that. I just thought he was like a new process server. You see what I'm saying? Like you just meet people and you never know what they're going to get. Now, the bad side of it is people will go to conferences and it just becomes a social hour where you've already been to 10 conferences, you've already been there 20 times. It's like I don't go there for that anymore. Like I know people that have been going, they'll keep going because they have friends there. And and at some point it's just your competition. You know, you're just going to meet with your competition. Yeah, no worries, Reuven. Thanks for coming, buddy. Um, and so, but like Florida and Texas, I'll just mention this real quick. Florida and Texas, it's night and day difference. In Texas, I go with the website company. To conferences all over, but Texas is our favorite one because in Texas, it's 99% new process servers because they're going to get registered. They're new, they have to get certified. They get certified in Texas. So they go get recertified, um, or yeah, and so it's all new people. So a lot of the people who would come in there would give me business cards for their insurance company. Because they would enter to win we always give away a big monitor at every conference. And so they put their card in and I get to meet people from all different types of businesses. And then Florida, it's very similar to, it's like a mix of the two because you have all the elite companies there because they support the association. But also Florida is almost exclusively the only training that all the districts use in the entire state of Florida. They use the association. The association makes a ton of money on training. They have regular people who've been asked to teach, um, as a part of the committee or whatever, to teach the new classes. And they're not cheap. It's like $180 a person, and they'll have like 20 or 30 in each class in different districts all over Florida. So that's a cash cow. Florida is genius about that. California is trying to do that, but it's not required to be registered to serve in California. So the other thing is I've just had so much fun in the conferences. That's, you know, the negative part is sometimes they charge too much money. It's like, why are you charging? I already had to pay $1,000 in flights and hotels. Why am I paying another $1,000 for the conference? By the time I do the poker night, which I love to do because I always win, poker night, bingo night, golf, like you pay for all this stuff. By the time you're done, you're like up between $500 and $1,000, 500 and 1,000. Does that answer your question?
Pretty much.
If Cal's Pro's coming, what a little hack is if you're starting out or whatever, you're not sure if you can afford it, or you don't want to afford it. You can come to the hotel, stay the night at the hotel, and hang out with everybody because people hang out in the lobbies, they hanging out in the hallways. The organized events sometimes you can separate the different parts of the event where you can only pay for the training part. And the other thing is the actual conference, if you're a member, if you're a CalSPRO member, you can show up for just the voting part where they're talking about the minutes and the business for the association for free because you're a member. But if you want to stay for the other events that they put on, then you gotta pay for that. Yeah. So I'm pretty excited about this year. I was going over looking at the calendar and thinking about things, and when I hit the road in September, it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna go to Cal's Pro, then I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna go to Arizona, gonna go to back over. I'd love to hit Tennessee and some of those other spots that I haven't hit before. Some of the other states, I've been to Georgia conference. The problem is they're not as supported as they need to be to actually be able to put on a conference. And part of that problem is that they don't serve their people that well, to be honest with you. CalSPRO probably is one of the best examples of that, and even they fall desperately short. I'm like, you have a directory of people. I click on the directory thing and it takes me to all the sponsored people that aren't even in the area that I just searched. Like, it's just like the reason why Apple was so successful is because he realized, because remember, they were going to go bankrupt, but Apple was in dire straits. They were going to go bankrupt. And then Steve Jobs came back and saved them with the iPod. And then eventually the iPad and then the iPhone. He upgraded the iPhone and made it. But the iPhone itself is something that we all have in our pockets now, you know. Unless you shop at Temu, then you got an Android, right? How many That's one of the age-old arguments. How many Android users we got? Probably all of you. No. Oh, Jeff and Jessica, like, no way, man. It's okay if you are. It's okay if you are. So, what other questions or things you guys got in your mind? I see Shayna in here. She's being shy.
I got a question, but not for you. Jessica, did you do your work on your Google My Business addresses?
I did, and I got it verified, and I got bumped down the list. So we'll see how it goes.
Get some reviews that'll move you back up, and Mike can handle that with you.
Yeah, if you guys want to leave me some reviews.
That's true. Let's go look it up here.
Yeah, I have 15. Actually,
It's not
I
bad.
had a pro se client the other day. His mom, I think, contacted me to deliver the papers. Um, and I did. I like bent over backwards for them, and then he didn't leave me a review, so I reached out to the mom, and she did right away.
What's the zip code again?
98020 for Google Maps.
So, do you have your link,
Yes.
the one that takes it directly to the review spot?
Yes, I do.
That would be a good thing to share. You can share it inside the community as well. I would do it in school, inside our school platform. Um, you can do it on Facebook. People always hate on it and stuff. You do in both places. Let me see. Did I already leave one? I'm gonna leave one right now. I think if I left one already, it would show up.
I don't think so.
Experience.
But
All
yeah,
right.
Google's pretty smart because I left a review with one of my other Gmail accounts and it deleted it.
Yeah. When you need a process server in Washington, I highly recommend her and her team. All right, post. So one thing a lot of people really do underestimate the power of reviews. You get 200-300 reviews. No big company can compete with you because it's not something you can really hack. Google won't let them put 2, 3, 400 reviews up in one day, 2 days, a couple weeks, and it's just not going to happen. The best thing you could do is show up on the map pack. For some reason, oh, I put your name process server. So I put process server in what city again?
You can put Linwood or Edmonds.
There we go, Edmonds. I'm just curious who all shows up here. So yeah, ABC legal serve now, and then ABC actually shows up. I think you said they're from that area, huh?
Yeah, they're local.
Yeah, they show up on the SEO
Well,
ranking at the top without any ads.
yeah, at least they don't have to click the button to move to the next part of the listing. So you're showing up where it needs to be. So
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
yeah, and it
When
went
I
from
try it,
15 went from
good.
15 to 17 just in 2 minutes.
Right. Thank you.
And here's the thing, guys, if you leave a review for somebody, like and you guys talked about, we're talking about it right now. If someone leaves a review for you, leave them a review back. Take the time to leave them a review back. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, because I know some people do this, there's nothing wrong with having this line of thought that, well, isn't it lying? In some industries, it might be considered lying. And this, it's not, because we actually hire each other for services. And so, in our professional experience in this group setting, we're all process servers. We all could potentially use each other, right? And so, you are leaving them a review. Now, I've heard it said that Google they used to call it a recommendation, not a review. And so people are like, well, you don't even have to be a potential customer. You could just be their mom and leave them a recommendation, you know.
Mhm.
You know, my mom's my biggest fan. You know, I used to always say that. So yeah. Leave reviews. I just left you one. I have a thing on our platform, on school platform. If you go to the website, where it actually highlights you. For those of you guys that don't know, let me just bring it up really quick. I was just gonna save as a draft. Let me see. Dun, 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 dun. How do I save as a draft? Okay. We'll have to, well, actually, I'll do it this way. I'll do it this way. Mighty process server. I just want to know so anybody who wonders like, well, where do I get highlighted? Because you actually do get highlighted on the website. There's so many scammers buying domains. Someone bought my domain with one letter different. If someone misspelled it, then it shows up. So if you go to on the directory, let me actually, not the directory, but let me see here. So I'm going to share the screen. I'm going to show you guys this. This is important. Okay. Oh, that's my drink. That's fine. Sure. So this is it right here. This is it right here. So you can come on here, you leave a review and you're highlighted. So I highly recommend everybody put, you can do a video. I think Jeff, you got like 3 videos on here, which I appreciate, brother. I appreciate. But you can also leave a written review. And what I recommend you do is kind of what Josh did, is like more of like kind of like a blog post. Not quite, but kind of, right? Like putting a little bit about what you're doing, or let's see, what did Joe do? Yeah, Joe just raved about me, right? Jessica, I love this review. It's a great review. So just leaving a review, but um, if you say, you know, hey, here you can put, um, yes, that's fine. Thank you. I'm losing train of thought here. So what you can do is you can actually put your company name. You know, my company, normally you don't do this on reviews, right? You can, but it's kind of a sneaky way to get some self-promotion, I guess. But in this case, definitely do it. Put, you know, like Jessica, if you were gonna to change it, I don't know if it lets you, or you can just do a second one, I guess. But you could put on here, Mighty Mentors giving me the confidence, and then you could say, my company WA, you know, Pro Se has grown, you know, or is going to grow, or is, you know, you could put that on here because this is a community of other process servers, right? Other process servers are going to see it and do it. I didn't even know about this one. Oh yeah, see how she named herself? Uh, can help you grow your business. Yeah, I've known Dawn forever. And actually, Dawn actually signed up. She actually signed it. This is a good testament right here. If I remember correctly, Dawn signed up when I very first started, and she was too busy and we couldn't connect and meet, and she paid like $500 setup fee before I raised it to 1,000, then eventually 3,000 when I very first started, and I was building all of them. That's what it was. And she somebody commented something. She goes, "Yeah, I haven't heard from him and I want a refund or whatever." And and I was like, "What?" I was like devastated. I'm like, I haven't didn't build her website yet." And so I reached out to her and I was like, "Oh my gosh." She's like, I was like, "I'll give you a refund right now." And she's like, "Okay." So I gave her a refund, and then she kept coming back going like, "Well, we already have a website, but I would love to, you know." And then I think eventually she ended up signing up again, if I'm not mistaken. And but that's, you know, the people who you may have any kind of negative encounter with, do they still say nice things about you? Right? That's what you gotta wonder. You know, Chris, you know, he's a good guy. I haven't seen him for a bit, but he's a hustler. And then of course, the paid directory, the $27 a month, that's what puts you here. and also puts you on the directory. And I'm excited to see this thing grow. Like we're going to build this out. And so you guys look at this, and if you want more things on here, like I was thinking about putting a video, like if I do an interview with you or a business highlight, having a video here next to on your listing. And then if somebody wants to reach out to you, they can do it, request a quote, they can call you, they can go to your website. And when it comes to marketing, having your backlink right here, having this linking to your website, and then having this badge on your website linking back to this website is what's called a backlink. And it's what Google loves to see from other websites that have a high domain authority. So that's where we're at with that. So yeah, definitely leaving a review on if that's where you can leave me a review right there. Get featured by leaving a review here. This is a blog post I'm writing. So cool. I just wanted to share that with you
Desi,
guys.
Desi put a cool widget on my website with my reviews from Google. It looks really nice.
Oh man, she found that. I used to copy them in and use the website's widget, but there's actually a Google widget that will show your reviews. Yeah, it's really cool. She found that. I was like, "Are you kidding me? This is so cool." Yeah, she's always learning new things too. I'm like, anything you want to learn, go learn. Like I'll pay for it and the company will pay for it, and so she's becoming like a little wizard, website wizard. So your website's coming along nice?
It's done. So I
Mm.
just have to, my blog post got deleted by accident. So I have to redo them, but it was Chat GPT, so it's not a
Did
big
she
deal.
revert it? I think
She
she might.
couldn't figure it out. So there was
Uh,
only a couple of them. I'm just doing them right now, and then
okay.
it might go live today.
Okay. Let me know once you're ready. We're gonna do a business spotlight for you. And if you're up for it, we'll do a video
Yeah,
interview kind of
we'll
format that
see.
we, yeah, think
Yeah.
about it. No pressure.
Jeff, it's not live yet, so maybe tomorrow in the meeting we can look at it or the next day.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm just excited because it's changed our it's done wonders for our business. We're very excited about it. And after 30 years, it's about time.
Yeah.
It's so cool, Jeff. You've been in the business for 30 years. Jeff, when you first started, we talked about this a little bit, but we've had a lot of conversation about it recently with newer people. Where were those first customers that you got? Do you remember?
Oh yeah. I know their addresses and the names. One's dead, one's alive. And yeah, no, it's we we um we gave away a month's free service for the two attorneys, Charlie Phillips, Richard Lawrence, and they during that month's time, word of mouth, basically, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be where I am today. Word of mouth, they trained. These are old guys. They were, again, one's passed away and the other one's semi-retired. He works for legal aid now, volunteers. But the word of mouth, and it's just mind-boggling. And it took me 3 to 5 years in the beginning to start a new business is very challenging because if you can make it to 3 to 5 years, you're going to succeed and get past those hurdles. But word of mouth, and you just got to protect your reputation and your name, and don't do anything shady. I had a guy, not to run my mouth, but I had a guy who we did service for a free office space, and he asked me. He was very well known, but the city hated him. He was very well known. I did a lot of work. I needed the office. And, he asked me one day to do something with a tenant. I said, Spanky, I'm not doing it. I mean, whatever the office space, it's not worth it to me. So you got to protect your reputation. And because that's all you have in this business. You could do 1,000 great jobs and people are going to love you. The judges are going to love you. But when you screw up once or do something stupid, you're done. So yeah, that's basically, and so 30 years later, and I've had websites way back. You can go back on that search engine. I forgot the name of it. That way back. You can go look at that way back and look at what I had 30 years ago to what I have now. That Desi, there's it's a joke. You'd have to laugh at it. But Desi has done wonders, and she stays on top of things. She's really good.
Yeah, the Wayback Machine is really cool. If you go look at original websites of like Apple or these kind of websites, Amazon or even MySpace or some of those old soft social media platforms. But I love that. There's so much in that where when you get a customer and you keep that customer and you're working with people that maybe burn you a little bit, don't burn the bridge, you know. I love you can still hear the saltiness in your voice, Jeff, about, some of those experiences, but you know, as you build your business, you actually, you'll meet new people and then they'll know that person. And sometimes not having like a whole list of things that you're gonna talk about negative with them, you actually end up they just won't mention you, you know. I may have a great relationship. This attorney may love this other attorney, but you hate this attorney and but you want this new attorney's business. And so being able to have nothing negative said is by simply not burning that bridge and just finding new customers. And you've been around a long time, Jeff, so that's good. I appreciate your feedback there. And I love the website stuff. You're one of our biggest advocates that come on here. We have people in Texas that when we go, they're like you, Jeff. They just literally scream from the rooftops, hire Desi to build your West. She'll stand up in front of 200 people, and Gloria Miller's her name. She's not big on Zoom or this kind of stuff. So people who like to meet via Zoom, they come and we have a good time. And those who don't, that we still love them.
Yeah, let me throw one more thing in here real quick because I did it yesterday. I wish there was more people on here to hear this, but you gotta use the backup server, be the backup server. Look, you guys, you get into an office. I went into an office the other day after court, and when I went in, all these doors are secured and locked now. You can almost not even get into these lawyers' offices unless they buzz you in. But I went around to the side, to the driveway, and 2 seconds. And the lady saw me through the door. I'm waving, and I said, "Yes, I'm soliciting, and I know I'm not supposed to be, but I said, and I know you already have a process server, but I want to be your backup guy because I know, at some point you're going to have a need. Feel free to call me." I left the flyer that Cherie did, left my business card. I did before I got back to my office. I actually had two calls from both places that I visited. They just had questions, but the fact that they called was really important and really good. So the be the backup server is a great idea, and you'll get in every door, and they'll listen to you.
Yeah, because this idea, for those of you guys who don't know, be the backup sales training is one of the trainings inside of if you go into basic training inside of the community. I did a 10K and 90-day challenge, did it in only 15 days. And I surprised myself actually. I was like, how is this even possible? Why didn't I do this before? It's just pick up the phone, find those people who might be willing to hire you. And guess what? There's some of them will say yes. You know, it's like with dating. You talk to enough ladies, and one of them's gonna say yes, and she's crazy, but she said yes. You know, and or guys, whoever. Anyway, so the other thing too is understanding how to follow up with people. So if you go take that training and you're like, oh, like I know Jessica, you said you talked to a whole bunch of people, right? It's like, and then today you said like following up with them, building a relationship, being a part of the community, the local legal community. It's so powerful. And you'll start building friendships with people that will last a lifetime. They can. If you pour into those friendships, they will last a lifetime. Where it's like, hey, what are you doing? I'll take you to lunch. And then while you're at lunch, you end up finding out there's a new judge, and the judge is actually looking to appoint, a process server as the main person or whatever to serve papers. I told the story one time. I had a relationship with one of the ladies at the sheriff's department that in the civil division that would take the money for evictions and stuff like that. She was the one who you'd pay the $40 to if you were going to hire the sheriff, right? And she pulled me aside one time, and I was just always very flirtatious, very friendly, very, very happy. I would go in there and serve them sometimes Ritz, right? I would bring Ritz in for them. And one time she pulled me aside. She's like, "How much would you charge to serve all of our papers? We're thinking about contracting out the work." And, I told her, like 27 would be the minimum, and she's like, well, we want to pay, I forget what it was. It was something like 13 or something crazy. So I didn't take it, but I let her know everything that goes into it and how you would actually serve it properly. Because the sheriff didn't. The sheriff would literally go at 1 o'clock every day. And their declaration of diligence would say Monday at 1, Tuesday at 1, Wednesday at 1. And what's crazy is that half the time the court would accept it as due diligence. But if the person worked every day 9 to 5, that's not proper service of process. Especially in California, it makes it very clear that you go at different times of day in the morning, afternoon, and evening. So even the own government sheriff didn't serve it the right way, but they're trying to serve other things too. I don't want to chat off too much because I know we only have a little bit of time left. Anybody have anything else? What is that pressing thing? Don't feel ashamed if you're new. I know we have some new folks. Don't, and if you know if any whatever it is, I'm gonna give you guys a minute. Jessica.
So I have that new area that I can potentially cover. I added the city names to my Google profile, and I'm going to make some blog posts and put some keywords in there. But what else can I do if I'm not ready to open like a PO box over there?
Mhm. So what do you want to do? You just want to get new serves there that you could
Hmm.
do yourself or give to someone else?
Give to someone else.
So if you're going to give them to somebody else, what would be a really good idea is to talk to that someone and ask them what is some local specific laws or knowledge that you're going to get more business. I would not say I'm writing a blog post for your area. You can do that if you're friends with them, but it's actually better just to say, "Hey, I'm getting some work in your area and I'm making a note of all of the laws and rules for that area, and I wanted to know is there anything specific that comes to mind and add those things because those are the little things that if Google can't find somewhere else, it makes your web page more unique and
Okay.
you'll show up better. Like right now we're doing the directory and I'm looking at that. First of all, completeness. So when it comes to writing a blog post, completeness. We're talking about what are all the laws and rules from every perspective and angle. Have you ever heard of the sandwich method?
No.
So the sandwich method in college, we learned about it when it comes to writing. It's usually in regards to writing a book or you're reading a book and you're writing a report about it. But in this case, it actually works really well for blog posts. As you write a beginning, some type of an intro of like process serving in, because that's what Google finds first, right? It's like process serving in the city. This is why day in a life always goes well in every industry. A day in a life as a process server in whatever city. And so one way that would rank really well, and this is something I'm going to do on the directories actually for each city. It's going to take a long time, but I'm going to do it because I know Google's going to just go crazy over it like a schoolgirl, where they're just going to be like, just going to love it. Google's going to love it. Is having a day in the life of a process server in every city in the country. And so this is why I want to bring inside the community, bring people on. So for your local area, you could say a day in the life of a process server in this city and it's the same advice I would give to you as I'm giving to my VAs that are helping build these is have a video, have text, have break up the text with different things. And a video is a good way to do that. So you got your intro, you got your video, then you have bullet points or numbered lists somewhere down there, right? So because Google likes to see it broken up, and then having a site map or a blog map link. So essentially what this looks like is uh but if you're going to put a lot of content below the video and it's going to keep going, then you should have a link that has like the five main bullet points. And if I click on one of those bullet points, it's going to scroll down to that thing. And if you don't have that ability, which you can do in a blog, you can do in a blog, you just create a new row and then you assign an anchor to it inside of the blog post thing. I could show you how to do it, but what happens is at the very least you should have bullet points. You know, these are the 5 things you're going to learn because what Google does is something called schema. Google will take those bullet points you created and they will and they will put it as a preview on Google. And so most of the time when you're on Google and you see a breakdown of something, that's not theirs. It's 100% AI. They take that from a website, they put it on their website because they want people to stay on Google. They don't want people to go to your website. They want people to stay on Google. So now they've even got previews, right? If you hover over someone's, they give you the preview with all this text, hoping that you'll just get the information you need, make the call you need. You're just on Google. You never had to leave Google. So if you understand that part of it with the blog post and you give Google all the things it needs, the other thing that a lot of people don't know that could be really helpful for you, Jessica, is an FAQ section that is robust. You might look at it and think, well, there's already 10. There should be 100. Like have 100 questions. Start with 100. 100 questions that you think will be asked. Why would a process server be looking for me is one I recently saw that I was like, that's so genius.
Does it matter if it's the click and then it opens up, or it can just be all open?
It can be, yeah, Google will see it.
Okay.
So that little the FAQ, how it like hides a part of it is good because it makes it look a little better. But Google still sees it all because it's all on the first page. And actually inside of the builder, Mighty Website Builder, there's a little section that you can actually click. You can tell it, hey, make this FAQ schema. And
Okay.
so, yeah, it actually says there's like a little button that says make this FAQ schema. And if you make the FAQ schema, it's telling Google, hey, here's some questions answered. You're welcome to put these on Google and use them. And from the website builder, it actually makes that code available to Google so Google can immediately just grab it and put it on Google. Just make Google's life as easy as possible to share your content. That's the idea.
I'm glad you mentioned the anchor because I saw it when I was doing the blog, but I didn't know what it was.
It basically just says, hey, I've named this little row XYZ, and whenever they click on this link, I want it to immediately go down to this row. So that's all it is.
Mhm.
But it's super
Thank
helpful
you.
because you can create little mini sitemaps for your content. Great question. Great stuff. Shane, are you still gonna be a mime? Mime. I'm just picking on you because I know you're new. You're making it happen though. She's taking action. She's like, I'm going to the courthouse. I'm getting dolled up. I'm gonna go talk. I'm interested to hear the feedback. She's probably at the courthouse now. All right. Well, time's up, guys. If you have questions, reach out to me. The early bird special for the directory is 27 bucks. Yeah, I'm not going to go up a whole lot, but eventually it will be for one county. It'll be like 20 bucks per county. And so right now you get 3 counties included. The directory is just starting, so you probably can't expect to get a ton of business from it right away, but you lock in that low rate, and then later on when it's, $57 and $20 for each extra county, you'll be saving money. So check it out. If you don't have a website too, you can go to mightywebsitebuilder.com. Desi's building amazing websites over there. So thank you guys so much. Let me know if you have any questions, and signing off as always. Jeff's always the first one. There you go. Boom. We lost somebody. Or I think it just moved around. See you guys. Actually, tomorrow, yeah, we'll do it. Well, we're doing it Thursday, right? Today's Wednesday. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll see you guys inside.